Guys, I want to share the BBC interview of Sarah Van Leeuwen. Sarah Van Leeuwen was this journalist that came to Sierra Leone to investigate the presence of Julius Leidekers, the most wanted drug dealer by the Netherlands government. He came to Sierra Leone as a journalist to investigate the whereabouts of this gentleman. And well, I don't know if I should say gentleman, but it's okay. It is what it is. But Julius. It's just my language, gentleman, fine. But Julius is the most wanted drug dealer, very violent. He's wanted by Netherlands, Belgium, and some other European countries. Matter of fact, he has been sentenced in absentia to over 40 years, I think, probably 20, 30, 40 years, whatever the case is. But Sarah Van Leeuwen, recently in this BBC documentary, part 2 of the episodes that is coming out by Ed, this gentleman at BBC, Ed, is doing such a fantastic work. So he interviewed the opposition leader, Abdul Kagbo. I did a video the last time I explained about Abdul Kagbo's position. Very fantastic. But of course, I said they should look at what Abdul Kagbo is doing in parliament as well, so we can have a conclusive picture of his actions, right? Yes, he spoke about the fact that Julius Maada Bio's daughter is dating Julius, but then the laws that Abdul Kagbo is passing in parliament does not conform to the kind of speech that he gave, the interview that he gave with the BBC. So I just want him to remember that. Whilst he's saying what he's saying because he has to save his face internationally, we have to understand that Abdul Kagbo is passing laws in parliament that is aiding and abating, the destructive state of Sierra Leone's democracy today. That's very crucial to understand. But I want to talk about Sarah Van Leeuwen and a counterpart, a Sierra Leonean journalist, our brother, who currently, of course, is seeking asylum in, overseas somewhere because it was wanted, and he's wanted by the SLPP Maada Bio regime because they are protecting Julius. So I'm going to let you listen to this interview of Sarah Van Leeuwen, and we'll talk about it more. So listen to the interview.
The world's cocaine trade is bigger than it's ever been. Now, with more cocaine comes more money, and some of that money is being used to purchase protection.
Despite denials from the president's family, law enforcement agencies say Julius Leidekers, a wanted criminal, is now enjoying privileged status in Sierra Leone. What's going on? That's Business Daily from the BBC.
I think it was January 2025. He made front page news of my country, the Netherlands. Julius Leidekers, the biggest drug criminal of our country, living in Sierra Leone. I called my foreign desk. I said, well, maybe we should go there.
That's Sophie Van Leeuwen. She's a Dutch TV Africa reporter with NTL News. In 2025, she went to discover how come a wanted fugitive appeared to be living openly in the capital, Freetown.
I went to a press conference. This was one of the first things I did. And just before, the Dutch asked Sierra Leone to extradite Julius Leidekers. This was news. So I asked, what about him? Where is he? Are you protecting him? It was Chenoba, the Minister of Information. He said, we take it very seriously and we have our own investigation.
With her fixer, a local journalist called Joseph Torre, she decided to drive the next day to the area south of the capital, where Julius Leidekers was reported to be living. This is Sophie and Joseph's account of what happened next.
So we go by car and we put a press sign on the window to be very transparent about what we are doing there.
We met a police roadblock. They were searching everybody who was passing. Armed policemen, Secret Service police officers, I would call them. They were in civil clothes. They were waiting for us.
That's unusual for Freetown, right?
Unusual. Who are you people? So where are you from? Then Sophie said, I'm from the Netherlands. You are what? You're a journalist. Then the man just whispered to his colleagues, to say, we've got her. This is the person we are looking for.
But then someone started screaming. And then the chief said, well, this is a special security situation, whatever that meant. We turned the car around and we are escorted by a truck full of armed men through the city of Freetown to the criminal investigation department.
You cannot imagine how I felt that moment. I was so nervous behind the steering. You know the sirens? Whoa, 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 whoa. There was a motorbike in front, the police motorbike, to clear the way, as if they were carrying the presidents. I felt like hell was losing over me. That was the point I felt they assassinated the media in Sierra Leone.
When we got there, I got out, I was surrounded by people, like if I was a movie star, and I lost Joseph, my colleague.
I just abandoned my vehicle and I escaped.
You ran?
Yes, it was like a knee-jerk reaction, if you want to call it that way. I was in Freetown for a few days, hiding. Police were raiding my house. All my staff, my colleagues, they all had abandoned the office. Some have gone into hiding. You know, I saw myself in hell. Then I fled the country.
Meanwhile, Sophie Van Leeuwen remained in police custody, held for days without any formal charge.
They questioned me for about 15 hours, maybe 7 hours the first day, and same thing the second day. They wanted to know, who did you call before you arrived in Sierra Leone? Who are your sources? Who did you work with? They treated me as a spy, basically. And they took my phone, they took my laptop, so they could read everything I did on those devices. And also, they didn't really give me food, so I did feel weakened after, a while. And, well, maybe more scared, because you start to wonder, will I get out? Got a bit messed up, I think.
Eventually, after 4 days and diplomatic representations from her government, Sophie got her phone and her passport back. She was told she could leave the country. Her camera footage, though, had been wiped. She was never formally charged, and the Sierra Leonean government never publicly explained why they'd held her.
I was like, okay, so you let me go. I'm not a spy. I have an accreditation. And you just delete everything. You steal everything. So the Minister of Information was on the phone, and he said, you're always welcome in Sierra Leone.
I guess the assumption you have is that all of this was inspired by Jos Leidekes himself.
Yes, the roadblock was there especially for us. Of course, they knew we were coming to stop us from going to Jos Leidekes. You feel like the government is working for him.
Now that you are out of Sierra Leone, do you fear, or did you fear, that they or Leidekes himself might still be after you?
Yes, in the beginning, yes. Yeah, they know where I live, and I have family. I think it's in your head. This is what a government like that does. They just make you scared, they intimidate you, and they want you to be an example for others.
Dutch journalist Sophie Van Leeuwen. It does raise the question, how directly involved was Jos Leidekes himself in all this? Well, it's hard to be certain, but as we described in last week's Business Daily, there is video evidence placing him not just in Sierra Leone, but also very close to the government's leadership.
All right. Now, I want you to note this. And this is not me, subscribing to stereotypes, but I'm just telling you the reality as an African American and as a black person. And the fact that the white folks, unlike us as black people, we barely love ourselves. But white people love themselves, they take care of themselves, they protect themselves. Therefore, we as black people, we should all think the same way to ensure that we protect ourselves. Ensure that no other race takes advantage of us. But as black people, we've allowed other races to take advantage of us. If that's what you want to say, that's fine. As far as I know, I've never had to deal with that kind of situation, but I know it's a systemic thing. But I've been fortunate to deal with people that are awesome. White, black, other races, and all of that kind of stuff. So I know everybody's experience is going to be varied, but I'm not going to take away from the experiences that our people had that led to the civil rights movement and all of that. That is not my conversation. That's a conversation for a whole other day, right? I don't want to go deep into that. But I'm going to, of course, sympathize with all the folks that have experienced some form of racism in any way, shape, or form. But now, when you see a white woman crying and the culprit or the perpetrator is a black person, that is a problem for that black person. We know that because, again, like I said, white people protect themselves. The fact that Julius Maada Bio's administration of thugs, the gangs, the Minister of Information, the police, the security apparatus, Julius Maada Bio and his family, because Julius Maada Bio was aware of the treatment that Sarah Van Leeuwen received. The fact that they had a white woman crying because of what she went through, and she even went to the point to say, please pray with the people of Sierra Leone. First of all, everything I've been doing on social media, this vindicates my position, because a lot of folks overseas, white people, black people, they've been seeing my videos, but they're like, is this guy honest? Is this guy speaking the truth? Is this guy probably is part of the APC or the opposition? Well, I say this to you. I was born in APC, but I don't support this APC as it is constituted at this particular point in time. And I'm too intelligent to understand that a political party is only some letters. It is not, the reflection of the people itself that we want to see, and the reflections of the people, meaning that they are actually doing what the people want them to do. If a political party is not in line with the aspirations, the views of its people, then it ceases to be a political party. And that is where I'm at. And that is why I've been teaching Sierra Leoneans to understand that a political party is just a vehicle to get you there. But if the vehicle is broken, please don't join that vehicle. Don't get in that vehicle, because if you get in that vehicle, anything happens to you, it is your fault. You are on your own. But Julius Maada Bio, they did not have to do what they did to Sarah Van Leeuwen. It was uncalled for. It was totally unnecessary. But this is because these guys have become so disrespectful. They have no respect for the white folks. And Julius Maada Bio has always known that the white people don't really stand up for anything. And he's just taken this as just another case of, who is she, Sarah Van Leeuwen? Because what, she's white? She's going to be dealt with. I'll deal with her, and nothing comes out of this. And I hope something comes out of this. I hope the Netherlands government ensure that these guys are prosecuted during and even after they come out of power. The president, his daughter, the Minister of Information, Chernobyl, the Attorney General Alpha Cisse, the IG of Police, IG Selu, everybody involved in the arrest of Sarah Van Leeuwen. I hope the Netherlands government will do what's right by Sarah Van Leeuwen to avenge this abuse, this human rights abuse, this violation of our constitutional right. Sarah Van Leeuwen was in Sierra Leone in Freetown, constitutionally. She registered, she was credentialed, they know who she was, but she was treated like a common criminal. But imagine the way they treated Sarah Van Leeuwen, and I want you to think about the way they've treated Sierra Leoneans over the years. Our brothers and sisters were tortured, electrocuted, waterboarded, killed. Their bodies were dumped where nobody even knows where they are. Today in Sierra Leone, over bridges. This is what they did to Sierra Leoneans since 2018 to today. So I hope the Netherlands government will not let Julius Maada Bio walk away with this. I hope you would work with the International Criminal Court, The Hague, to make sure that the people of Sierra Leone receive and get the vengeance, if not even vengeance, but the justice that they deserve. Sarah Van Leeuwen should not have been treated the way she was treated. There was no reason for them to ostracize her, coerce her like this, torture her, investigate. There was no reason to starve her. I hope the Netherlands government would do what's right to make sure that Julius Maada Bio pays the price, and all of these government ministers that I've mentioned should pay the price for what they did to Sarah Van Leeuwen. I hope so. I hope so. Sierra Leoneans are waiting on you guys to act. We are tired of your nostalgia. We are fed up of the fact that you're not taking the actions that you should take as a government. As a superpower, you have what it takes, and this is the time. Do what you could to remove these people from power. Sierra Leoneans are in bondage. Sierra Leoneans are slaves. All future elections are going to be rigged. It is a fact. But the fact that Julius Maada Bio disrespected the Netherlands as a country, as a sovereignty, by treating Sarah Van Leeuwen the way they did to her, man, I hope you guys take action. Bye-bye, everybody.